By now, you've probably already seen the teaser trailer for something called Virtua Fighter Cross eSports. A lot of people are talking about the Virtua Fighter series now, and are interested in knowing more about it. Many of them getting into the series for the first time. I wanted to make this video to clear up misinformation that is floating around the internet about Virtua Fighter and give newcomers to the series a concise history. And I also would like to cover how Virtua Fighter may have been the downfall of gaming as we know it. Virtua Fighter started life in 1986 on the Sega Master System. Rather than being a fighting game, the original Virtua Fighter was actually a visual novel. Sega would sit on the success of Virtua Fighter for many years, until Sony and Namco would release the video game Tekken. This was the first 3D fighting game. Sega felt they needed to make some sort of competition. It was then that Sega announced that they would release a game called Virtua Fighter 2. And this was the start of Sega's deception. Sega immediately began production of Virtua Fighter 2. Sparing no expense, they were determined to make a game that could compete with Namco's Tekken. Beyond being a successful arcade game, Virtua Fighter 2 would need to be their secret weapon to win the console war in Japan. Sega was sending out arcade machines to reviewers such as Famitsu and Game Weekly, and told them that the arcade machine was actually an alpha Sega Saturn. They told the reviewers and all the gaming journalists and even people at trade shows that the Sega Saturn was running this game. It was not to be. The Sega Saturn port was not 3D at all, but rather it was a 2D game that looked like it could have been on the Sega Genesis or Master System. Even early console reviews for Virtua Fighter 2 still showed these graphics from the arcade version and not the console version. They would give the game rave reviews, only to find out later when the game was released that they had been bamboozled by Sega. Sega knew that they could not keep up this charade for long. In an attempt to win back favour with gamers, Sega would hire Yu Suzuki from Lockheed Martin. His mission? To create the third dimension. The third dimension has been defined by scientists as a geometric setting in which three values, called parameters, are required to determine the position of an element. This is the informal meaning of the term dimension. But what does it mean for gaming? And why did it lead to gaming's downfall? Suzuki was about to change gaming forever. Virtua Fighter 3 came out and was so popular in Japanese arcades that Sega was forced to cancel Shenmue 3, the first victim of Virtua Fighter's success. This was a huge blow to gaming. The invention of the third dimension made others in the industry lack psychological resilience. With most video games taking place on a puny 2 dimensions, the introduction of the third dimension meant that gaming developers no longer wished to try their best. Psychologists have noted that one of the common side effects of weak psychological resilience is the inability to try one's best. People that are insecure often are known for never giving their best effort. This is because they feel that their best effort is not good enough, so there's no point in trying this hard. Sound familiar? Beyond the regular psychological factors, what else has the third dimension done to gaming? To understand better, let's read the notes of renowned scientist Roger Ebert and his manifesto on 3D, titled Why I Hate 3D Movies. In this documented work, he establishes the fact that 3D is a waste of a dimension. Quote, "When you look at a 2D movie, it's already in 3D as far as your mind is concerned. End quote. He also states, quote, "It adds nothing to the experience." End quote. Such damning evidence would have you believe that Virtua Fighter 3 would be the end of it. But unfortunately, there was more to come. Gaming was never the same. Sega tried to stop Virtua Fighter 4 from ever being made, but Yu Suzuki managed to overpower the CEO of Sega and commandeered a small team of programmers to make his dream a reality. Virtua Fighter 4 was going to come out one way or another. Virtua Fighter 4 was finally released, but it wasn't the normal game people were expecting. Virtua Fighter 4 was a crossover with the Tekken franchise. Two enemies now working together. It wasn't to last, because shortly after the release of Virtua Fighter 4, Sega was purchased by Microsoft. Before Sega could start their relationship with Microsoft, they had one more act of deception. The release of Virtua Fighter 5 on Sony's PlayStation 3 was an exclusive launch game. After being paid a large undisclosed sum of money for this title, Sony executive Kaz Hirai was shocked to learn that the game already in fact existed in arcades in Japan. Sony would never be the same. Microsoft now had a chance to cement their ownership of Sega, and they released the DLC for Virtua Fighter 5 exclusively to Microsoft consoles. This was Virtua Fighter 5 Last Round. Featuring online play, new characters, and increased graphics, this made the PlayStation version obsolete. Nobody is quite sure what became of Sony Corporation after this. All of my attempts to contact former Sony employees to make this video and ask them for comments fell flat when I could not find any of their emails. One thing is for certain though. Virtua Fighter is poised to make a return on an unsuspecting gaming public. And what does this mean for gaming in the near future? What could Virtua Fighter cross eSports do to the gaming industry? After so many years of deception and backstabbing and destruction caused by this series, are we really ready to see another entry? In this YouTuber's opinion, no, we are not. Please join me in signing a petition to prevent Sega from ever releasing another Virtua Fighter game or from ever porting the current Virtua Fighter games to any more systems. I am also trying to engage with legal professionals to find a way to halt any and all emulation of previous Sega games. I hope that you can help me with this, and that one day we will live in a world free of the tyranny of Virtua Fighter. As always, please be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, hit the bell so you know when new videos are coming, and don't forget to comment with your thoughts on this video, which I very much hope you have enjoyed. God bless, and good night.